We're about to talk to Josh Pate. I don't know if you guys want to do the.
We do.
I don't know if it's the TikTok, Instagram challenge, whatever it was.
I think he can handle it.
I can't remember all the ones I've seen people do, like creepy bar pickup lines, favorite beach destination. They do all sorts of rankings there, but I thought it was pretty good. I'm not going to do it. I'll let one of you guys walk through
so here's
it.
what I'll do. Do you have the names? Here's what I'll do. Josh Pate is
I've
with
got
us.
the names. I've got the names.
Josh Pate College Football Show. Josh Pate CFB is where you watch it. Same place you watch our shows. What is up, Pate? How are you? We're about to play a game with you.
Good. I've got nothing but time. I'm shut in Nashville. There's snow and ice everywhere. So
Is there
all
really?
the challenges, I welcome them.
Okay.
So snow and ice in the Music City. How about that?
So you're with us until noon?
At least.
Is this the eccentric Josh Pate? You typically have just white on, and we're kind of a gray tone today. So stepping out there a little bit.
And sleeves.
Oh,
The Quick
wow.
Trip sent me a bunch of free stuff, Brown. I know they didn't pay to be on the show. That's why I'm ducking down a little bit. But
No, it's all
I got to
good.
wear what they send me.
It's all good.
Yeah, you're fine. You can flex on Quick Trip.
Yeah.
So here's what we're going to do, Josh.
Actually, go ahead and lift. Go ahead and sit straight up, because if they get a bump in their social media hits today and
That's
their
right.
soda sales, we're going to use that as a sales pitch to them.
Honestly, we may just do the segment like this.
Yeah.
If that's
Yeah, that's fine. Fine with me.
Just for the ladies, absolutely.
Yeah, guess who's calling on them at the end of the show? All right, so here's what we're going to do. We did this. Dunaway did a TikTok trend here because our show's on TikTok for the first time ever today, Pate. Live on TikTok. I don't know if even the Josh Pate College Football Show airs on TikTok, does it?
We cannot say that we are.
Okay, well, there you go. So there's one aspect where we're better than
But he
Pate. That's the
also
only thing.
says he can't say that he's not.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, if you end up on TikTok in the next week or so, make sure you shoot that contact info for Quick Trip over. We'll call it a win-win.
That's a trade. All right, so Dunaway took a TikTok trend, 1 through 6. He gives you a name of a coach that has not won a national championship, and you've got to rate them on the likelihood that they will be the first one to win their first national championship. Does that make sense?
And one is most likely.
One
Yeah.
is most
but
likely,
here's
but
the catch.
you don't know what's coming next. You got to rank them in real time.
Yeah, you got to rank them in real time.
And there's no prize at the end.
Yeah.
I don't like it whatsoever. I've signed no consent forms, but
Okay.
why not? I don't sign a consent forms for most of the risky business.
I think
do.
I know
So
the
let's go.
order Dunaway went in too.
Yeah, I'm going to keep up with the Pates on the dry
Okay, here
race
we go,
board. All right,
Pate.
here we go.
We're gonna start James Franklin.
6.
Okay. There is
Soft spot in your heart too.
yes, I think we all did the same thing. Number 6 with James Franklin.
Okay, remember once you slide them, you can't go back.
6 is gone.
I know Jim McElwain's about to get dropped on me somewhere, and I'm going to send an apology to James Franklin.
For the record, I don't think I went him first, but
Okay.
maybe I did.
Next on the list is going to be Marcus Freeman.
3.
Okay.
Next on our list is going to be Brian Kelly.
2.
All right.
Shivers.
Next on our list is Kalen DeBoer.
4.
Okay.
What do we have
All right,
left
so we've
on
got
these two?
1 and 5 left. Who do you hope is still out there that you've left?
Well, I hope Sark's out there. That would be my number 1.
Okay.
Sark is next. Go on and put him in.
All right.
And then your final is Dan Lanning.
Man, 5. Yeah, so that's all I have left.
Yeah.
In retrospect, in retrospect, we can do everything better. I would bump Freeman down to 4. I would bump DeBoer to 3 and have Sark landing 1, 2 in either order.
Okay. Franklin stays 6.
I had Sark landing 5, 6.
So you would drop BK down? Is that what you were saying, Brian Kelly from
I
2?
would drop BK down beneath. I would have Brian Kelly beneath Sark, beneath Lanning, probably beneath DeBoer. So I would have him either 4th or 5th, Freeman, Kelly interchangeable, and then I would have Franklin behind all of those 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
Does it make you nervous, though? Because Brian Kelly's won big games. He's won a lot of big games. Kalen DeBoer's won big games. Sark hasn't won any big games. Dan Lanning has not won any big games.
It doesn't make me nervous, but I also acknowledge the fact. I think, though, the way those are going to go is I think there's going to be a year where they just knock all that down at once. I'm not saying there's a parallel to Ed Orgeron with these guys. I think there's a lot more staying power with all of them. But
Well, Ryan Day
Orgeron,
just kind of did it in the postseason, right?
right?
Yeah.
But Orgeron's the more extreme example of there was a bunch of stuff you would have said an Ed Orgeron team couldn't do, and then it all got like blowtorched in 1 year. Ryan Day had that. I think Kirby had a little stretch where people kept saying, well, he's never going to beat Nick Saban. He's never going to win the big one. Well, he beat Saban in the big one, and then no one said that anymore.
You know, the difference, and Josh Pate is with us, Josh Pate CFB on social media, the Josh Pate College Football Show on YouTube, not on TikTok. The difference in like Ryan Day or a lot of these guys in Ed Orgeron is even after Orgeron did it, I never believed he could do it again. Right? I mean, you just accepted the fact he had a generational football team of talent. And there was never any fear among any SEC fan of Ed Orgeron getting it cooking at LSU.
Yeah. So here's what I would follow up with as the modern example. Do you think that anyone feels that way about Marcus Freeman? I think there's a sizable chunk of the college football public that just saw Notre Dame make it to a national title game, and they think whatever they think about Notre Dame's capability in the modern age, they think whatever they think about Freeman. I think a lot of them look and say, Notre Dame, boy, you had a favorable track. You happened to stumble your way into the title game. You guys will never get there again. And I mentioned that because I think in previous years, I would have felt that way. If Notre Dame got that close, I would have thought, yeah, you should have grabbed the belt while you could because this is Notre Dame. This is modern day college football. You guys can't go head to head with the big boys. For some reason, I've softened on that stance. So I actually don't feel that way. That's why I put Freeman initially as high as I did in our rankings there.
I think the difference there, Pete, is that I think a lot of people felt like Ed Orgeron, like they let the mascot coach the team for a season. Like it was just kind of like a gimmick to sell tickets. The mascot coached the team. It's like a bad movie and he won a national championship. I think people trust Marcus Freeman. It's just different. I mean, I'm with you. I'm not certain he can do it at Notre Dame, but that's more job related than coach related for me anyway.
And the part about the job, what I'm starting to soften on is I'm not sure for all those years that we accurately thought the sport had moved away from Notre Dame being able to do anything of significance. I think with all these changes that have happened in the sport, in a strange way, it's come back towards Notre Dame because they haven't had to give up anything they wanted to in terms of independence, but also because you can't stack depth on the Southern rosters the way that you had been able to do. I think the whole aggregate of that is the environment's a lot more favorable if Notre Dame takes care of its own business to have a team any given year with the right head coach, which I think most of us, to all of us, agree they have, to be a player, not just a player to make the playoff, but a player to actually do something. The age-old question with them has been and will continue to be, could they be dynamic enough at quarterback once they get in the thing to make a run, which is terminology we use in college football now.
I know your brain's 24/7 college football, so you've probably already thought about this. And for the record, I believe it's going to be hard to see this coming. But next year's Arizona State or Indiana. Like, I think every year we're going to have one of those type teams. I just don't know if we're going to be able to see that type team coming. Have you already thought about this for 2025?
Yeah, Texas Tech would be one that I would look at. Anyone from the Big 12. I don't think – funny thing about that, Lance, is I don't think you'll ever get that kind of team from the Big 10 because there's too much high-level quality. There's too much high-level quality in the SEC.
Yeah, but you got it with Indiana.
You did, but I didn't. That's not a conference champ. I'm saying a team that comes out of nowhere to win their conference title because Arizona State did that. I don't think that's possible to be done in the Big Ten. Now, you could have, like next year in the Big Ten, I think Illinois could be what Indiana was this past year. And then you get Brett Bielema in playoff press conference situations, and that would be a great thing for America. But I think you have to look at the Big 12. That's why I was doing a radio hit out in one of the Big 12 markets earlier this week, and they were saying, or they were asking, like, what should the goal be if you're Joey McGuire or if you're the head coach at Oklahoma State or TCU or whatnot? And I said, well, if I was out there, my goal would solely be focused on winning the conference because that is achievable. It's attainable. I'm competing against equally resourced programs to try and grab that crown. I would look at it as Georgia's playing a little different game than me right now. Ohio State's playing a little different game. But Colorado and Iowa State and Kansas, they're playing the same game. It's a wildly entertaining conference. I don't think it will ever produce a legitimate national championship contender, but I possess the capability to watch the Big 12 solely for what the Big 12 is going to provide me.
My high school baseball coach was my math teacher my 10th, 11th, and 12th grade year, and we would leave math class to go to the batting cage to get swings in. So I am horrible at math. I say that up front. But last year, the SEC had 3 of 12 teams in the playoffs, and they had 3 teams right outside knocking on the door for a total of 6 contending for the 12-team playoffs. Now everyone is bitching and moaning that the SEC and the Big Ten want 4 guaranteed spots and a 14 or 16 playoff spot. That's not adding up to me. I don't know why everybody's so upset about, not everybody, but the people who are upset about this. Why are they upset about the SEC and the Big Ten wanting to guarantee 4 spots there? That's what they're going to get just in a normal year. I don't understand the outrage.
Or more. What you just said, the caveat there is that's what they would have gotten or more or worse, depending on your perspective. I agree with you. I think people are still married to the idea that we have at least 4 roughly equal power conferences, and we do not. I mean, it's so glaringly obvious today. And so, number one, there is no world where you expand and the SEC and the Big Ten don't get what they want. But even if that world existed, to play devil's advocate or for argument's sake here, just understand we're talking about, I think I may be frozen. Was I frozen or am I back?
No, you're
back.
Fine.
You're back.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
So I never liked the concept of auto bids of any kind, but I never wanted to expand the playoff. But we're here. So at 12, if looking in the distance, all we have to go to is 14 or 16, let's just say we're going to 14. Dunaway, I think it's a favor to the rest of the country. If you limit the SEC and the Big Ten's guaranteed spots to 4, because there is a world, if that committee or whatever the rankings mechanism is that we use, if that thing's properly calibrated, there could be a world where you've got 8 and 4s that are in above 10 and 2s from power conference versus other conference. And so it's probably doing you a favor. The second thing, and this is where I get selfish a little bit, is there's, from this point moving forward, knowing we can't go back in time, there's only one way to me to maintain maximum focus and value on the conference races. And that is letting people know ahead of time how many spots their conferences have in the tournament so that everyone's not focused on rankings and everyone's not focused on who's on the bubble and are we going to get this team in? How many teams are we going to get in? Instead, if I'm in the SEC and I know my 1 and my 2 are in, and my 3 is going to play 6, and my 4 is going to play 5 and play in games on what used to be conference title Saturday, well, then all I'm focused on all year is the conference standings, conference race. Same thing in the Big Ten. And those are the 2 teams that are playing by several miles now the highest level of competitive football across the board. So out of the available options, I'll put it that way, I prefer that. And if this model gives the Big 12 multiple guaranteed spots and the ACC multiple guaranteed spots, I don't know what better deal they think is going to be out there for them.
That's my point. But for people like Pat Forty and Stuart Mandel who are calling the SEC and the Big Ten greedy, they are giving the Big 12 and the ACC a lifeline, guaranteed 2 spots, not 1, guaranteed 2 spots. That's not greedy. I don't think they have to do that. I don't understand the outrage.
I think the outrage is there were a lot of people who advocated for a bunch of change that's not providing them the results that they wanted because it's not Xbox, it's real life, it's not utopian, it's not idealistic, it's the real world, it's realistic. So now that you've advocated for things, instead of accepting the obvious consequence of what you advocated for, you want to continue to wish cast. And that's not the way this works. But if you just have to write for a living or you just have to talk for a living, you don't actually have to make the decisions. You don't actually have to pull the levers. You just get to do that in an echo chamber. It's kind of a good gig.
Josh Pate is with us. Josh Pate, CFB. He's the host of the Josh Pate College Football Show. You can get that on YouTube. The link is right there on his social media at Josh Pate CFB. He's on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. You mentioned the scenario that we've loved on this show, that championship Saturday. Do you think there's traction for that? So for those that don't know, 1 and 2 play for the top seed, basically. They play for the SEC championship. Meanwhile, you've got 4-5 playing together, 3-6 playing one another, all on championship Saturday. The top 4 teams out of those games, the 4 winners, the 1s and 2s, and the other 2 winners go. Do you think there's traction for that?
Yeah, I think we're more likely than not to get there.
Wow.
And the way I would do it is to maximize the value and importance of the conference title race. To maximize the importance of the conference championship, I actually wouldn't even play a conference championship game. I would let my league play out any given year, and I would get to the finish line, and I would take number 1, give them the conference title, same way we do in basketball. You just won the regular season league title. We would just call it the SEC title, and I'd send them on. You don't even have to play in a conference title game. You don't have to play in any more games. You're in, go take number 1 over there. And then number 2 gets to go take our second seat, the runner-up. It maximizes the reward on conference standings. And then I would have 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5 on that first Saturday in December. I double the inventory I'm offering my media partner. It doesn't say SEC championship game on the marquee anymore, but it says SEC play-in or whatever you want to call it. So that's the way I would. I wouldn't even have a 1 versus 2.
Wow.
No, I
I'd
would.
have 1 and 2 are in, and I have 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5.
I would, because now I'm tripling the inventory. Because
I would too, but there's this other thing, Dunaway. I know it's not popular to talk about this, but we do still have to have football players to play the games. They are still 18 to 22 years old. Like we are still putting a pretty hefty workload on guys. I would like to see an added reward baked in for the teams that finish 1-2, and that reward to me would be you're in without having to play the game. Now look. If you were to sell me that these conference championships are going to maintain like maximum significance, I'm in the same business you guys are. So I'm all for more inventory of that scale. But if I were trying to stack the thing with integrity of competition at the forefront, given the climate today, I wouldn't have a 1-2. I'd send them on. I have 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5.
Yeah, wait until we have paired up where Alabama has 3 FBS schools that are their practice squads that they can pull from late in the year if there's injuries.
The December call up.
Yeah, that'll be when really the people will be outraged and we'll have some chaos.
I think this past year there would have been chaos from a lot of people who were happy with the outcome if we changed nothing more than Alabama or Georgia went on the run Ohio State did. Or if we changed nothing more than Tennessee got the draw Penn State got. See, I think a lot of people are secretly outraged with the way it was last year. They just didn't realize it because it wasn't an SEC team that gamed the system. It was a Big Ten team. So they were okay with it for the time being. A lot of people who think they like the current model don't even like the current model. It's just that they're a little bit blinded to it because the SEC didn't leverage it to their advantage in that particular year.
So 5 total seasons between Billy Napier and Hugh Freeze, and only 1 winning season. Napier's 8-5 last year. I know Napier was on the hottest seats, did a great job of pulling himself off of that. But going into this year, who is on a hotter seat? Is it Billy Napier again or Hugh Freeze?
It's a weird question because I don't think Freeze, from my perspective, enters the year there. I think he has the capability to finish the year in worse position than Napier, because I think it was pretty overt how Florida ended the season last year, that it felt like it really started to come together systematically to me. Whereas at Auburn, it feels like you're still sort of wandering through the wilderness a little bit. Now you can hear waves, you can hear the seagulls, you think the beach is ahead, so you keep forging forward. They've recruited well, they've portaled well. But you're talking about a turnover-prone team banking on a turnover-prone quarterback being the savior. That's really what it comes down to. Everything else is sort of a moot point if that doesn't work out. And it's a disconcerting situation for Hugh Freeze to be in, I would imagine, to know how much variance there still is in the equation, even entering year 3. With Napier, I don't feel like there's as much variance. The variance for him is in his schedule because they play a nightmare schedule again this year. And like you said, it's a miracle they pulled that nose up this last year, given how they started, given the schedule they had in front of them, but they did it. So I think I'd feel a little better if I were Florida and Napier than if I were Hugh Freeze and Auburn right now.
All right, here's Josh Pate at Josh Pate CFP on social media. You can see the Josh Pate College Football Show on YouTube. It is linked right there from his social media. Very easy to find that YouTube channel. Like it, set your alerts so you know when he's live, and subscribe. Do all the things we ask you to do for us as well. Thank you very much, Pate. Always good talking with you. Stay safe in Snowmageddon.
Thank you, sirs.
All right, buddy. Take care. Josh Pate on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.